Well, here it is with no front bumper on it. Definitely not very normal. So I feel so bad for it. It looks terrible being Mr. Bumperless, but I'm gonna put the new RS bumper on. Here's the OEM bumper, straight from Ford. And this is an aftermarket RS top piece that snaps in to hold the headlights. I was not about to pay $275 for a freaking Ford one. Alright, we got everything clipped in here and here and up in here. You got to be careful underneath because it hits in there. So every single thing's on, clipped in. Without this, I can't even bolt it onto the car because you have to have these pegs and all this to be able to do that. So one of my pegs is broken on here. I gotta go get some more hardware so these will snap into place, but it's a lot of work. Well, we have it installed, so we've got it all fit up. Now we're gonna take it and we're gonna paint it black. Even though we're gonna wrap the car, we're just gonna paint it black just so that way it's already black. Ridiculously expensive for this bumper, man. I just can't believe how much Ford Focus RS parts cost, man.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous, dude. Just this one part right here. Had to wet sand some nibs and some stuff that was not looking pretty up here, so he went ahead and carried out and wet sanded all that stuff out, wet sanded all this stuff out, and scuffing it and getting ready to do the clear coat after this.
That's why today, while I was here, I swept it all out.
Alright, so we have to figure out which one of these on this harness. Right here you've got a yellow with red, a brown, two blacks on this harness. Which one is the fog light wire? So I'm gonna figure out which one it is, because we have to figure out which one's positive, which one's negative to turn on the fog lights, since it has one harness that runs for this fog light and this fog light over here. So we've got to figure that out. All right, so we've tested, and this yellow with red stripe does come on when you click on the fog lights. And this black over here I've already probed does the ground. So this is what we're going to use for our harness to be able to run our fog lights. So we tapped into here, both of our negatives, both of our positives, black, and then yellow with the red stripe. We're going to run these over for our fog lights. We went ahead and taped up everything so it's waterproof. We don't want any water leaking into the harness. So we went ahead and used our Tessa tape. And then we'll zip tie this all up in here really nice. And then we've got new H11 connectors that we're going to go on each side of this. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach these. These are H11 Dorman harnesses. We're going to wire those into the end of these wires that I have. So that basically it will wire into the fog light bezel. I'm going to clean that up obviously, but I just want to test it, make sure it works and everything works. So here's our Dorman wiring harness wired up to our wire that we wired in. We're going to clean all this up obviously, but we will have our fog light wiring harness complete so that we can just plug everything in. Here's our harness all taped up. Basically everything's all nice. We're going to zip tie everything all up there, but everything's ready to plug in for both the fog lights. Here's our bumper, fresh from being painted. Looking really good. Just gotta get it on the car. All right, so we had to slide this piece in, put this topper piece back on because we had to remove it when we painted it, and then slide these in. So that's what actually holds the bumper on to the actual car. I bought these grill meshes right here off a company off eBay in Texas, so hopefully they'll work because they were super expensive. So we got to put the grill mesh in there next. All right, we got the bumper put on. It looks really good, fits really good. You have to take the headlights out, one bolt, which I attached these for the front bumper. And then I attached this one for the front bumper, but these two on each headlight come out just so you can slide the bumper on. I also went ahead and screwed this part to this so it can never come apart. I didn't want it to be too flimsy, but everything's looking really good. So I snapped this bottom piece on right here. I even screwed it up from the bottom because it's Chinese and aftermarket, and I knew it was gonna fit like crap. So I bought another Chinese piece here because that piece alone is 781 bucks. I'm not paying that, so I paid $250. Got that. And then I got fog light bezels, new fog lights. Those are actually from Ford. I paid for actual Ford parts for those. So this is a lot of work, but hopefully it'll pay off in the end when we get it all done. I did try to put the grill mesh in. These pieces, they don't fit worth a crap, and they're aftermarket as well. So learned my lesson on that. That cost me almost 180, 200 bucks for that. So I will figure out a way to make it work, but right now I just don't have time. I'm losing daylight. So this is what it looks like so far, and I'm gonna start putting all the other pieces on and keep going. So these are the stock bulbs that came with these right here. So we're gonna put these LEDs into here. That way we get a little brighter than these stock halogen bulbs. Here's this piece installed. It's kind of big, so hopefully it'll look nice. Fog light bezels are in. They are definitely not easy to do. Got all those up. Okay, so it's the next morning. We got everything put on. We got our fog light bezels installed, which I need to zip tie all the harnesses up behind, but everything is looking really good. This one's hanging out because I just wanted to remind myself I need to zip tie those up, but we need to put the bezels in. We need to put this front piece on. I have a huge gap right there, so I've got to fix that. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do that, but I need to fix it. So a lot of work to get this thing to look like what I want it to look like. Okay, I'm having to do this video in like a multi-part series only because this is taking me so long and I'm running out of sunlight. So here's what the car looks like with putting the new bumper on. It's been painted and everything. Sorry it's so dirty and nasty, but we have this massive gap right here. The reason why I think that gap is there is because I took this piece out. So I'm gonna put this piece back in, reinstall everything, and see what it looks like. I'm also gonna install this front piece here, and then I'm also gonna install the fog light bezels down there. So hopefully it'll look a lot better once I get that installed. All right, so I snapped this piece back on, put this back on, hoping it will hold this up better. I cut all the way around it. I removed all this so that way it wasn't sticking out so far out to here because it was hitting the bumper before. So hopefully that'll help hold it up. I don't think it is, just by looking at it, I don't think it's gonna help, but we'll see what happens. So that didn't do absolutely anything. That was my fault. But I did have this mounted underneath this, and that was causing it to pull down. So I pulled this on top, and I'm gonna push this back, and I think that's gonna help fix everything, because that's where I think the problem lies, is where this was sitting underneath this piece and it was pulling it down. Well, we got the gap better. I just pulled this part back up and self-tapped it farther up, and that actually helped a lot. And then starting to think, I'm like, okay, why is the hood up so high? So I pushed the hood parts, the screw parts down on both sides and screwed those down, and then it dropped down. So that was my biggest problem, was the hood was way too far up, but now it's starting to look good.